G'day guys, welcome to a new episode, and this one's been hotly contested. We've had heaps of questions around how we're feeling about the Infinity 15 Escape. Apologies for making you wait a few weeks, but we do love to live in these things to properly test them out before you bring you a video, because it's not just showing you around the van, it's giving you the insight as to what are the points of difference, how do you help make that decision now that you've chosen Jawa as your core manufacturer. The other thing about this video, it makes us a little bit nostalgic because it links back to the reason that we're doing what we're doing. When we first bought our Jawa, it was an Infinity 13, and there's so many, I mean obviously longer, but so many similarities. And the other thing is how much next level the guys at Jawa have taken these 2024 models. So let's go to the back and start, as we always do. The only reason that people don't look at this van is the simple fact that it's got a bump out bed. And so bump out beds are going to be good for some people and not so good for other people. The main reason is there's a little bit more in the setup, a little bit more in the pack up, but then you get this additional 3 feet where your bed's not encroaching on the internal space in the van, which makes it a different proposition even to vans like the Retreat and the Commander and the Sirocco, which are obviously more solid. Let's get to the rest of the walk around. Skip over some of our setup here. Now we're on beautiful Moreton Island, which we couldn't have got a better spot. But it has been a little bit cloudy and there's been quite a few storms around, so we're a bit nervous about getting power into the batteries and that sort of thing. First thing I'm going to point out, other than the bump out bed, even though it's got a bump out bed, we still get these beautiful, huge, super blacked out windows all the way around the van. The other thing about having a pop top as opposed to solid roof is we've got these zipper hatches that open up as well. So in terms of airflow, we get amazing airflow, even though this van kind of is configured differently to the solids. 2 spares as usual, guys. I won't spend too much time on those. Pretty standard, but on individual swing arms. Now I've mentioned this a couple of times, probably haven't described it as well. What used to happen is the 2 spares were on a single bracket and system, and so if something ever went wrong with those, there was no redundancy, there was a lot more weight sitting on those. So I think the move to these independent swing arms for the spares is a really, really good move. Over here, a little bit standard, and we talk about it on every van, is we've got my external soft panel just over here. And Mavo's covered one of the panels with sand, so it's not going to be as efficient as it should be. Great work, Mavo.
I did too, I didn't even realise. We'll fix that later.
But as I said, with where we are with the tree coverage, with the storms, with the cloudy weather, we've got to keep that battery as high as we can because we use lots of power as well. Let's move around. Stock standard on these models, but it is a great standard inclusion. Truma AquaGo instantaneous hot water. We had to move our campsite yesterday to be able to get onto this awesome one. And I tell you what, the ability to jump in the van when we were hot, sweaty, frazzled and those sorts of things meant that we could actually just get in there and have a nice warm shower. And I tell you, I felt renewed after I had that shower. We have got our mains water in here. We've got a grey water tank, which is capped off, so you've got access to it, which is really, really cool. As we know, grey water can get a bit stinky some of the time. What I love about that is you can get a hose in there and really flush it out when you get back after a long off-grid camp. We've also got independently fed, meaning weight distribution can be done if we're not fully filling the van up, regarding whether we need more weight at the back, more weight at the front. And beautifully orientated tanks over the axle as well, also independently pumped. And I haven't seen too many water pumps fail from the guys at Jawa, but just a bit of redundancy if your water pump does fail. Our original Infinity had a single pump where we had to switch a valve over when the one tank ran dry. I do really like the 2 water pumps. It's just a bit of extra redundancy. You've got your outdoor shower here and your kick-ass shower tent, and we're actually going to use that while we're on Moreton because we're going to go swimming all the time. We just needed to get this video shot so we can get it into your inbox as soon as possible. but we will be using this while we're on Moreton because you get sandy and you don't want half the beach into the van. You've got your mains power in here, 15 amp lead as standard with all caravans. We've got our toilet outlet there. I'm not going to show you that, but I want to focus on some of the more important things. Again, quickly, Mavo, another beautiful big blacked out window there. And it's on my side of the bed and I love the airflow, and she's always cold anyway, so it's probably perfectly set up. First thing I want to show you is a beautiful big run through. As you can see, anti-flap kits in there, poles that we use that I'll show you on the awning in a second. We've also got room for fishing rods and that sort of thing. What I love about the innovation here is that there is no wasted space, because as we know, most of the time with these long flat things, they're going to run through there. You can see a segment that I'll show you on the other side means that you've got a little bit more storage space, because you're never going to fill that height with long straight things. So again, just really good thinking around the use of space with these vans. Check this out. There is no way you could fill it. I've got a stand-up paddleboard, Mavo's tackle box. We had our chairs in here. We've got pegs. I've got my chainsaw in there. We had our snorkeling gear in there. We had our barbecue and our barbecue plate in there. Seriously, this is a small apartment for a small human if they're playing up. Don't tell anyone. But in all seriousness, that is huge. And Mavo and I have been joking about it. This van has the most storage that we have seen so far in any of the vans of the 2024s that we've been in. There is no physical way that we could fill this up. And if we did fill it up, we'd have to have a chat to ourselves about having too much stuff. Next thing we're going to look, pretty standard here, but we've got the generator slide. We're not carrying a generator because we trust the power system on this so much. We've just got our block and shock kit, our flat plate. There's room here for tools that go in there. And we've also got a really handy drawer here where we're currently carrying our hoses. We're off grid, we don't need them at the moment, but they are there if we need them. Now the other thing about this is it's a really great use of space. Not that many generators are super high, but if your generator is higher than the space that's in here, it's a pretty easy job to unscrew these drawers once you pull it out. All you need is a Phillips head. You can take that out and have that space there if you want, but I like the fact that you've got the options. Might save a tiny bit of weight too if you take that drawer out if you needed to, particularly if you're running a generator. Now, let's look at the drawbar and then we'll talk about the rest of it. We've set it up and we actually love this. This barbecue arm saves us having to carry an additional table to hold our barbecue. The other thing is, because it's alloy and powder coated, you're not as worried about heat transfer and that sort of thing, particularly if you're doing a long cook like a roast or something like that. The other thing with this is you can move it around a little bit depending on wind direction and those sorts of things. We've got our trusty Ziggy Nomad here, but I think it's a really good investment. I can't remember exactly how much, but ask the guys at Jawa. They do stock these and they're awesome to have. We'll just do the standard stuff here, guys. As you would expect on a fully off-road capable van, DO35 hitch. We've never had to test one of these, but we've had about 12 different vans now. They work perfectly, particularly we'll drop some footage in of driving up the beach and driving across creeks and stuff yesterday. We've got our breakaway cable. We've got a perfectly appointed tap. I use this all of the time, particularly after I've just set up, because I don't want to step into the van all dirty or make the sinks and things dirty when I'm washing my hands. We've got an ARC 750 Extreme off-road jockey wheel. Another quality piece of kit. Quick call out, if you're camping on the beach like we are, utilize your block and shock kit to build out a bit of a platform so that your jockey wheel, the weight of it, isn't pressing down into the sand and sinking. We got caught out like amateurs a few years ago on a Waralty beach in SA and literally had to dig the van out to jack it up because it had sunk in about nearly a foot, to be honest. So just a hot tip. All right, let's have a look at this storage. Same as all of the 2024 models, but I'll just point them out. Dual jerry can holders. I've just got my 15 amp lead in there at the moment. I don't even know why I bothered bringing that because we're not on power. The other reason we're trying to mitigate any ball weight and that sort of thing at the moment, because we are on a sand island and it's a pretty boggy sand island. Dual 9 kilo holders. As you can see, I've got my trusty old camp oven, and I've also only got a 4 kilo cylinder. But we're here for a week, guys. We know a 4 kilo cylinder is way more than we're going to need for our cooking and for our hot water. Again, just keeping that ball weight down, because it's really amplified when you're towing on a sand island. Then I'll walk around, have a look here. Got our fuel tank for our Eberspatcher diesel heater in here, but still plenty of space. It's a bit of a mess in there. We actually pulled the awning down proactively last night, simply because there was a massive storm coming across from Brisbane. It was cool to watch, but it was also a little bit scary. Heaps of storage. Now, money side of the outdoor living in this van. First of all, we're going to start here. Amazing 5-meter awning. And what I love about this 5-meter awning, and I'll talk about that in a second, just the space that it gives us under here, particularly for just the two of us, there is ample space for us to be doing everything that we need to be doing and not even need to be in the van. We'll start down here. We've got our standard Evercool Series 2 Down Under fridge, freezer, 2 freezers, 2 fridges, and the ability to turn off independent zones, which I love about this particular fridge. If you're needing to conserve energy, you've drank all your beers and you don't want this running and there's nothing in there. So really, really good quality piece of kit. Then we've also got, particularly given that this is a big van, a full-size pantries coming off here. Again, seriously, we can't fill everything in this van. Even though Mavo does a good job of carrying random stuff, there is just too much space. One of the reasons there is too much space is, check this out. A little bit of inspiration from the Lowdown 13 Escape, but this pull-out organiser just gives you almost like a secondary pantry, almost like a secondary pots and pan drawer and those sorts of things, in the fact, or in the event that you've maybe filled all of that sort of stuff up. Again, we've just put stuff in here for the sake of putting stuff in here, because there is so much space in this van, and it packs really neatly and nicely away. Like we have with all of our Jawas that are a pop top in the 2024 range, we are running the electric actuators. These actuators make it a hell of a lot easier to get that roof up. And when we set up and had to pack up and then move sites yesterday, I was pretty thankful that we had the actuators. All right, I'm going to show you the other side of that run-through tunnel boot that I showed you a little bit earlier. Now, as you'll notice, it's a lot lower on this side for the all the way through long sort of flat stuff, but there's another sizable little shelf in here where you could fit tackle boxes, fishing gear, you could fit more pantry items. You drill, all of that sort of, Mavo's swimmers, because there's not enough room in there for, no, I'm joking, there's heaps of room in there, but it's just another really good use of space. Again, on this 15-foot platform, an extra tunnel boot there.
Actually, a case of beer.
Oh! Easily 30 pack of cans and 6 bottles of red wine.
6?
Yeah, easily.
4.
Easily, 6. Nice big blacked out door. Just suits. I love the colour of this van. Seriously, it is a beautiful van. Makes it really hard to photograph because it's so dark, but it's a beautiful looking van. Head turner at the Caravan Park. Got the standard drop down table here. I love these drop down tables more than anybody would ever imagine, because when you're setting up, when you first get here, sitting my drills here, all of those sorts of things, plenty of space to leave stuff there, and it takes 2 seconds to drop it down. Also use it for my Starlink modem when we're off grid and that sort of thing. We've got a 15 amp out here, so GPO here. Some people have asked a question around this, so I thought I would just address it. It's a 15 amp, which is pretty standard, but it's an output. It's going to give you electricity. A 10 amp lead will fit in there, so don't stress about it, guys. First time you use it, might need to wiggle it around a little bit. 10 amp lead will work fine. TV mount out here and TV access point in here. We've also got these cutouts, another 15 amp power GPO out there, and just these little cutout spots where you put your stubby coolers, your sunnies, all of the stuff that you accumulate that you want to be able to get to without having to go into the van and that sort of thing. Now, another piece of brilliance and ingenuity is we're now seeing what made the Sirocco so popular pop into the different models. So we've got just this easy drop down table. Again, we use this all of the time when we're food prepping. 4-burner hob, and we've got a sink. It's full of washing up water. I might put that back on there. But obviously cutlery drawer here, and then more storage stuff for oven mitts, for cleaning up stuff and that sort of thing. Not encroaching too far out into your awning space. So you've got heaps of space under here to live, cook, wash up, have all your stuff stored. This is awesome. Again, sort of coming from the Sirocco Commander range, this huge pantry with some really handy drawers in there as well for anything that's going to roll around. Really well sort of laid out with different sizes, different heights. You can see we've filled it up once again, but we've got way more space over there in that pull-out drawer. So just really well laid out, well positioned light for when you're cooking. Simple little things that you don't see when you go to a caravan show that make these livable through the years and years of research and development that the guys have done at Jawa. So this van is absolutely outstanding for outdoor living, as all of them are, but let's get inside and see the points of difference now with that bump out bed.
Okay, welcome to the inside of the Infinity 15 Escape. Come and have a look. So we have a beautiful big bed in between a king, queen. I've got king linen on this bed. Now, someone did ask me, where do you get your linen from? I simply just go to Pillow Talk and get it, and I always get something that's on sale. So make sure that you get yourself a bargain as well. Don't spend too much for the caravan. Obviously you want something that's nice, but yeah, wait for those sales. But I just get it from Pillow Talk. Okay, back to the van. And less shopping. Okay, so in this van we have two really well appointed fans, one over there and just one over the bench seat. That seats, I reckon you could fit 3 people on here, but nicely fit a couple on here with a table. As you can see, I'm working at the table. Here we have the smart TV sphere, this one is. I've even got reception here on Moreton, which I'm actually really surprised about, but I've got reception. So it's awesome, watch telly at night time. We've got lots of GPO ports and 12 volt and USB ports as well, all around the van. You've got a bed light on one side of the bed. You've got a nice little pouch here for your books or magazines. Now let's spin around and have a look at the storage situation in the van, Ant. So in here we've got one large cupboard, really long, large cupboard. It's great for hanging things up. And we've got our basket in here with shorts and t-shirts. Now, if this was my van, I would get one of our sons, our carpenter son, to pop some shelves in there. I just feel like you could add more clothes, particularly if you're going to be going on a
You always add more clothes.
Big holiday, or you're going to do a lap or something, you want more clothes. So that's my 2 bobs worth. Now, you've got some great drawers down here. Ooh, underwear drawer, don't want to see in there. Swimmers as well, but that's how long they are. That's just our pajama drawer. Down here you've got a little cupboard nook. Sometimes I put some shoes in there. And then over here, Ant, we have a sink. I might as well show you. We have a sink, which is fantastic for washing up in the van, brushing your teeth or whatever. And you've also got a 2 hob burner as well. Now I find this fantastic in this van because you can cook your dinner, you can cook your breakfast, you can make your coffee if it's really horrible outside. And what I also love about this van, I will get back to storage, is this massive bench space here to prep your meals as well. So I love that. Right.
It is practical, isn't it?
It's really practical. Yeah, well appointed. Everything's really well appointed in this van. So we've got some cupboards under here. As you can see, we haven't filled that one. We've got our cosmetics, toiletries down there. I'll explain why we've got them in that drawer very soon, but let's keep going. A messy tech drawer where I keep the computer. And this is where I've just thrown our thongs in now. This drawer here is just for our towels, pegs, laundry gear. And then over here is just your power sub, power station, hot water system as well to turn it on and off there. Ant can go in more detail if he wants to, but that's not really my space. A really big cupboard at the front of the van here. It's massive. So when we're going away, I just put our towels in here, roll them all up and pack them in there. A couple of little snackies for in the van as well when we don't want to go outside the van into the outside pantry. Toaster, cutting board, cereal, and it's that big. I've got a felt container up the back there looking after my favourite pot, and we need that for a casserole later, so that had to come. A drawer in here, I just keep a couple of bits and pieces for like easy breakfast. Then we've got a microwave with no plate. I find that's really cool. I've never seen that before, but that's really cool for when you are off-road, so you have less breakages. Let's 110 litre Dometic stand-up fridge. My all-time favourite in a hybrid camper van.
Open her up.
She's stocked. She's full. Whoops.
Easy to find stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so much easier. Less time in there as well, wasting all that energy. Now up here we've got plenty of storage space. Obviously we keep our water up there, but that's our Starlink pouch. That's our washing basket, all up and out of the way. Let's have a look at the bathroom. This must be the biggest bathroom in all the range, do you think?
I think so.
It's very generous in size.
I think it's the biggest.
Ant and I could both have a shower in here.
Oh, nice.
Which is not happening. It's, yeah, just a great space for shower, toileting. Really, really kind in space. The other thing is, we store toiletries down there and toilet paper. And it's good, it doesn't leak in there. So when you have a shower, it doesn't get wet. And I love this van, how you have 2 sinks. So you can wash your hands here, brush your teeth there, and only use that for cook up, or you can do both. But you can also do your washing up in the van, which is really cool. Now, in this space, I said to Ant, this would be really good to get a compost toilet in here because this ensuite is actually quite large and would accommodate it really well. So the compost toilet would obviously come out a little bit further than the normal toilet, but this is definitely a van to consider the compost toilet for. Now the other thing that Jawa have realised is that in the little nook outside, where Ant showed you before that had ample space, they're going to actually create what they normally have in most vans is the zipper toiletry nook. So the toiletries that I've got down in this cupboard would then go up into here, which would be fantastic. And then that would free up that space over there for more pantry kitchen goods. So yeah.
Come out here.
Hang on.
Now the only other thing that we can do here, unlike any other van, because of the bump out bed, is just all of this extra floor space. And the guys at Jawa use so much space. We can just walk past each other without getting in the way of each other and just have that little bit of extra space. It feels like an 18-foot van in here. Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah, so I can be at the sink here, Ant can be over there, he could be getting something out of the fridge, he could be going to the bathroom, and he has not even interrupted me in what I'm doing here. So yeah, thumbs up to the Infinity 15 Escape for the space. And again, this is why the bump out bed gives us that much more space on the inside is because it's the push out bed.
All right, so as we said, guys, we just cannot fill this van up. It's simply too big to fill up. I love the bump out bed because it just gives us an extra 3 foot of floor space, particularly when there's bad weather and that sort of thing, that we can just coexist in here without bumping into each other. Now, I've mentioned a few things around the standard inclusions, but I want to wrap up by reinforcing them. This is one of the reasons that I reckon there's a big difference in Jawas to a lot of the other vans in their class. I mentioned the e-Dispatcher diesel heater, control unit sitting here. Fully supported by Enerdrive gear in terms of the 12 volt system. So we've got a 3000 watt combo inverter here, 100 amp charger built into that. We've got an e-Pro sitting up here, which is like a shunt, which tells us how much we're getting in, what our state of charge is. And we're getting nearly 30 amps in at the moment, even with it being really overcast. We've got 2 sinks in this van. That's actually a point of difference in this van compared to anything else in the range, but the list of inclusions just keep going. Enerdrive, 400 amp hours of lithium battery, that 3000 watt inverter, the MPPT that's 40 amp rated that runs the 600 watts of solar panel on the roof. Then I showed you that soft panel plug-in on the back. That's going to run to the DC-DC, which is 40 amps rated as well. So works as an external panel, but also will take the charge when you're driving in your car. Running the independent MPPT and the DC-DC means that when you're driving or when you're parked up with the soft panel plugged in, you're getting 2 feeds into that battery to get it up to 100% as soon as it possibly can. Don't forget, there's also the new Victron upgrade if you are right into the high-end gear that you can get. I actually think Enerdrive is really, really great value. Victron just takes it to the next level in terms of what its capabilities is, in particular the ability to pull analytics and learn from those analytics out of your battery system. Keeping going, we talked about electric actuators, we talked about the inside fridge, the microwave and that sort of thing. Underneath the van, you've got Lovell suspension, Australian high quality gear, Japanese bearings that the guys pack and put in at the factory, and you've also got your laser wheel alignments that both the factories in both Caloundra and Windsor have the gear to be able to do. So in terms of overall safety with these vans and towability, it's just second to none. So wrapping all of this together, guys, we love the Infinity 15. We actually think it's on par with our favorite van, which was the Commander that we've had as well. There's obviously a payoff. You get the extra space, but you've got to do that bump out. You've got to put up with setting up the bed and pulling the bed apart and that sort of thing. So only you can make that decision based on who you are and how you're going to use that van. But I just want to wrap up. I love Infinities because it's what drew us to Jawa. They haven't let us down with this Infinity 15 Escape. There's also a bunk model available as well, which would change the configuration, but a beautiful touring van for a family as well. Slightly on the higher weight side, Tear is 2470 with an ATM of 2990. Ball weight sitting at around 260 kilos, fully packed the way we are, but I have conserved weight because I know that I was going to be on the beach. Simply so much space. We really love this van. I'm going to give it a massive thumbs up. Yeah. All right, guys, as always, smash us in the comments, ask heaps of questions, send us DMs, all of that sort of stuff. We love always trying to get back to everybody, not always straight away, but when we've got the opportunity to, because we're out here doing this stuff all of the time. Lastly, give the guys at Jawa a call for anything that you want clarity on, particularly that Victron upgrade, particularly the composting toilet, the Starlink 12 volt upgrade, all of those sorts of things. I really feel like in the last few years that we've been involved, the quality was always great, but it just keeps going like this. So thumbs up, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.
See ya.
Thanks, everyone.